So do you have any hobbies? Hobbies are good to have. You know, I have a number of hobbies that as of late I've kind of felt like I'm failing, miserably when it comes to, furthering my ability and productivity in said hobbies. But I did notice last night that I've brought back an old one recently. I don't know how productive it is, but I mean, it's a hobby. And so, do I feel guilty about wasting a bunch of time doing this or not? Even though, you don't generally get anything out of this hobby. It's more of a time passer. All right. Now, an optimistic person would hope that this hobby, could lead to something, but, I'm also a realist. This hobby is trolling people on social media. To a degree. Last night I'm sitting around. I could have been, playing guitar or maybe doing some live streaming since my computer is working again. I've had a lot of people requesting that I get back to live streaming. I was going to do live streaming on TikTok, start doing more of that on YouTube. But instead, I got on Facebook and I just start scrolling local news stories. And I, just start getting into arguments with people. Yeah, just for fun. Now, I'm, pretty knowledgeable when it comes to things like politics. Pretty well versed. And I also know how to, research properly in the heat of the moment. So when I get into these situations where I start arguing with people on social media, I handle it in a pretty responsible fashion. I don't ever attack people. I don't ever start throwing out, nasty words or calling people names. I just fire back with facts and try to pose questions that, should have a simple answer. And generally, people either don't read the full question or they just ignore it completely and just start yelling at me and calling me names. There's certain groups that are a little bit feistier than others. And I'll just sit there and just poke the bear. Just slowly, just keep throwing, little fact jabs, reminding them, hey, you didn't answer my question, pointing out the errors in their logic. And if you do this for long enough, inevitably, without question, always, most of these people will just go full-blown crazy and they just spout off like insane conspiratorial nonsense. It always ends this way. And then once I've got them to that point that they're just dumping pure chaos that there's no way to respond to it because it's just basically a meltdown, then I just stop and move on to, somebody else. Again, is it a productive hobby? I don't know. But, there's worse things you could do with your time, right? And you always hope, like maybe there's a little nugget that ends up floating around in their brain that they can't get rid of. Like, wait a minute. What if that YouTuber I watch, doesn't actually know everything? What if there are other perspectives? What if, I need to check multiple news sources? How did I not get this information before? Ah! Again, I don't know if it's a good way to pass the time, but I swear to everybody who's been requesting I return to hobbies, like, hey, you guys ever going to play a show again? You ever going to do a Twitch stream again? Yeah, I will. But right now, there's just so much going on that people are so crazy about. These targets to troll they're just there. Just staring at me, and sometimes I just can't help myself. So, yeah, that was my evening. Hey, my house is clean, all right? Well, it could be cleaner. Maybe this weekend, because I got a lot going on this weekend. going to be hanging out at the Idaho Falls Farmers Market, for example. I will be there we changed it up yesterday. I'll be there from 11 to 2 now, okay? I know I'd been saying 9 to noon all week, but I had a request from Katie Lee to go ahead and do the old switcheroo of the shifts. So 11 to 2 it is. I will be hanging out at the Idaho Falls Farmers Market, gathering food for the little kitties and doggies, all of the animals at local shelters, doing what we can to gather food that is needed for pets at our local shelters. So if you've got anything you could bring, that would be awesome. I've got a bag of stuff I'm going to bring over, and then we'll get that stuff dropped off to a local animal shelter, help them out a bit. And like Bob Barker said, you remember The Price is Right? I don't know, some of you, I don't know how old you are. Don't forget to spay and neuter your pets, okay? Let's try to control the pet population. Lots of animals up for adoption right now. Get yourself a friend. I'm telling you, if I didn't have my cats around, there might be some days where I'd just have a complete mental breakdown. You got to have somebody to talk to, especially if you live alone and just get lonely. Oh, geez. My cats might have driven me completely insane this morning. Koopa's gotten into this habit in the last 2 days of starting to yowl at 3 a.m., and then when I won't get up and let him outside, he comes and bites me. He will not just lay back down and be patient. He bites me. Still like him, though. All right. Anyway, Farmers Market, Saturday morning, Idaho Falls, Memorial Drive. It'll be lots of fun. It should be a really nice day. Wear some sunscreen. That's one thing I always tend to forget to do out there. And then I'm like, why is my skull bright red and painful? I hope to see you there. It'd be great. Are you up getting ready for work or school or something? Right at this moment, it's 6:42 a.m. Why don't you take a shower? Why don't you clean up your act? Hygiene is important. I was reading a post online and I'm like, wow, I can't believe somebody would just sit around and put up with it for that long. But I guess some of you ladies very patient with dirty dudes. Like, guys, come on. I'm telling you, the ladies are going to like it better if you shower once in a while or wash your hair. Okay, so this post is, my boyfriend doesn't wash or rinse his hair. How do I talk to him about it? His whole life, he rarely used shampoo and conditioner, only water, which he says was totally fine. He looked and smelled clean. Okay, but a year and a half ago, he started using hair fibers for thinning. Okay, I got to figure out what this is. I'm a bald guy. I'd love to grow my hair back out, but I ain't going to dump money into some kind of a medication to do it, or, I don't have enough money as it is, all right? I mean, I get my bills paid, I have food, but I ain't got money for whatever it takes to, grow the hair back. What? Rogaine or Hims or whatever. Hair building fibers. Now, this is something I've never heard of. Is this like, let's see, they cling to your hair, filling in thin or thinning areas. You can get a jar of them for about $35. That's the first one I saw. So I'm just going with a random number here, $35. Okay, there's a picture of somebody who has used these hair fibers. You got to pick your hair color, and okay, I guess it's just a temporary thing, right? To make your hair look at least 10 times fuller with a bunch of crap on your head. No offense to anybody who uses it. I always try to encourage people, just shave your head. It's easy. The guy who didn't use the shampoo and conditioner in this story, you can just, use some regular old, some kind of soap or something. Save money on shampoo and conditioner. Shave your head. Save money on haircuts because you can do it yourself. Okay, so that's what hair fibers are. And she says, since then, he also stopped rinsing his hair as often. I had one very gentle and respectful talk with him about his hair is looking dirty. with the fibers several months back. Inspired by me seeing buildup on his scalp in the shower, and I asked him if he could please wash it. Yeah, bro, wash your head, fool. You're looking nasty. So then she says he insists that I don't talk about his hygiene because he knows his body best, so I hold my tongue, but I'm kind of sicked out at this point. The fibers were already getting on everything. I can't have any light-colored pillows or share hats. Now, okay, I guess sharing hats isn't that weird. But if you have your dirty hair and all these fibers all over the place, sure, you're not going to want to wear that hat. And now he's just adding more and more fibers every day. This guy will not wash his hair, and he just keeps just pouring fibers on his head. She says it looks dirty. And then he works out at the gym and mountain bikes frequently, so he gets all dirty and sweaty, and then he'll shower and just still not rinse his hair, just pile on more of these hair fibers. Is this something I have to give up on, or how can I talk to him about changing his habits? This one's like, bro, if you don't wash your hair, I'm done. All right? Wash your hair. I would think, keep yourself clean's a reasonable request in a relationship. If my lady was like, bro, you stink, your hair fibers are all over the place, you're a mess, will you please rinse your hair? I'd, be embarrassed and then go, sorry. That guy needs to shave his head, okay? If you're going to this degree to keep the hair looking thick to where it's all like just greasy and piled up and there's just fibers all over your house, you needed to shave your head, bro. That's what her conversation should be. Here, I'm going to actually leave her a comment here. Tell him to shave his head. The end. Okay. I'll leave that comment. Yeah, bros, you don't need to be buying hair fibers. Come on. I'm telling you, if I can manage to pick up a lady, anyone can, okay? Shave your head and work on that personality a little bit, okay? I'm no looker, if you've ever seen me before. Rocking that dad bod, bald, getting old. But I don't have hair fibers all over the place, okay? Keep things nice and tidy, and a nice shower, every morning at the least, to keep myself, in decent shape. Hair fibers. Bizarre. Should we talk about gross stuff this early? Why not? I came across a thread asking about the worst things people had ever smelled. I haven't looked through this because, somebody's going to talk about dead bodies or something. But I do know the two worst things I've ever smelled, or at least I think I know the two worst things I've ever smelled. And the very first one that is listed here, the reason I decided, okay, we could talk about this is because one of my worst smells was similar to this. They said a trash bin full of rotten chicken baking in the blistering Texas summer sun with a soup con of dirty diapers from a sick toddler swirled in. Okay. Many, many moons ago, because I'm old, I decided one day to thaw a turkey. All right, you may have heard this story if you're a long-time listener, because it was traumatic for me. The way I decided to do this is I had a cooler at the time that was one you could plug in, so you didn't have to fill it up with ice. It was a really great cooler. Now, Jade has claimed that I just plugged the cooler in wrong, and there were multiple ways to plug it in, one of which would turn it into a warmer. I am going to stand by I knew what I was doing, and the cooler just broke. Okay, now you should thaw a turkey in a refrigerator, not a cooler, but it essentially worked as a refrigerator. So I was like, this will be fine. And you know how many days it takes to thaw a turkey, right? Many, many days. So I put it in the cooler, in the garage. It was summertime. And I just left it, for a few days. I come home from work one day. I walk into my house. Not even into my garage, but I walk into my house and it smells bad. Like a bad smell. I'm like, what is that? What could that possibly be? So I'm walking around the house, where is it? Where's that smell coming from? Get to that garage door, and I'm like, oh no. It's coming from the garage. Like, is there a dead animal in there or something? I mean, technically there was. It was a turkey in a cooler. So I go out there, and I open up the cooler. Oh, and this thing, it had some pressure built up in it. It had been sitting there for days, and it was not cooling anything, okay? It was hot inside of that cooler. And I got blasted in the face with this slow cooked at 100 degrees or so. Horrific. All I can describe it as, just dead turkey smell. And it was like steam to my face. And, I've got a good stomach. I don't throw up very often. Usually I've had to make very bad personal decisions to get to the point that I'm, puking. I don't think I puked from this. But it was so horrific. I dragged the cooler out to the curb. This was back when the garbage people would just pick up stuff and throw it in before, Idaho Falls had the garbage cans that you keep at your house. And I dragged it out to the curb and I just left it. Like, garbage man's gonna pick it up. And it was not garbage day, okay? You could be on my street and smell this cooler. And the main problem was it disrupted my sense of smell for days and days to where it was like I had Superman sense of smell. I walked by the fridge at work and I could smell all of the food inside of it at once. And it was horrifying. It made everything smell so bad. I thought I was going to be that way forever. Forever. It was maddening. Yeah, you would not believe what rotten meat baking in this. Well, I don't know. I have seen some complaints about meat factories online. Oh, but getting blasted in the face. Like, you don't know what it's like to be able to smell the contents of a fridge all as one big smorgasbord without even opening the door. Like, I couldn't go near a refrigerator. I couldn't go near anywhere where there was food. Fresh, fruits and veggies. Oh, they smelled so bad. It eventually did clear up, thankfully. And I'm sorry again to my neighbors, because, like I said, you could smell that cooler from down the road. And I'm sorry to the garbage people who took it away, too. But the other worst smell I've ever smelled was surströmming. Now, surströmming is fermented fish in a can. And Jade sent me this disgusting video the other day where I don't remember what these are called, but it's a giant plastic ball that you can inflate and get inside of. You've seen these, right? And people will roll around, roll down a hill or whatever. These guys all crammed into one of these, giant plastic balls, inflated it, and opened a can of surströmming inside. And then they started rolling around with the surströmming flying all over the place, okay? Jade, Brad, and I went through a phase where we were eating disgusting things on the noon hour. One of the things that a listener recommended was surströmming. We opened this can out back, and we opened it in a bucket of water because we read that was what you had to do. The smell of that surströmming, it smelled like, the black tank of a camper. I don't know if any of you have a camper and you've ever not cleaned it out properly after a camping trip. You really got to clean your black tank good or your whole camper's just going to reek of sewage. It's so disgusting. That's what surströmming smells like. We We did actually eat a little piece of it, and it was the most horrific thing I think I've ever eaten. It was horrible. So these guys inside of this plastic ball rolling around with the surströmming all over. Then they start throwing up. Okay, I don't want to get too graphic here, but I just cannot imagine, because we took that can, and if you've ever been to the studio, way down the parking lot, there are a couple dumpsters. We put it in a bag, and we went and threw it in there. It was just like the turkey cooler thing. You could smell that surströmming like all the way down at our front door of the building. And it was another thing that just screwed up my sense of smell and amplified things so I could smell, again, the contents of a fridge without opening it. Don't ever try surströmming, okay? Sometimes, how many video views did we get out of that? Not enough. Not enough. Well, I didn't even get into some of the other worst smells that people have smelled. Okay, I knew people would say dead bodies. I mean, dead animals don't smell good. Or dead people. Dead anything. Back to that turkey. Maybe I don't want to read through this. Because I know I'm... all right, we got hoarder stories in here. People with too many pets. 14 cats. Never threw away the litter. Stacked the old litter in a bedroom. And the whole bedroom was maybe 3 feet high of used cat litter. All right, as a cat guy, I work very hard to try to keep my house smelling good, because cats will make your house, you've got boxes of crap in your house. So you've got to keep them clean or it's not going to smell good. And when I had people over last weekend for my birthday, at one point I'm like, oh, if you guys want to go play pool, I could, get the lights on, set up a pool table. I was so afraid that okay, did I clean the cat box today? Yeah. Is everybody going to go in my basement and it just smells terrible? I think people with pets are used to pet odors, but it's still, something I'm self-conscious about. I don't want people to be disgusted by my home. Peaches said it smelled fine. So but you never know. You never know what Peach's word. Yeah. 3 feet of used cat litter. Oh, and this guy was a chain smoker and threw all his used cigarette butts in the closet for decades. Just burn it to the ground. Just burn it to the ground. You can't clean up a house like that. Yeah, try to only have a responsible number of pets, okay? I might come back to this thread just because gross stuff makes me laugh for some reason. I don't know. I'm weird. It's like when I talked about cheering for horror movies and laughing at the death scenes yesterday. It's just how I am. I don't know. Makes me laugh. All right. I'll be back in a minute. Hang on. People post weird questions online. Just read one. Why do some people wear black all the time? Personal taste? What kind of question is this? And what answer is there to that question? Why do you wear the clothes you do? I don't know. I like them. Maybe it's comfort. Maybe, I don't know, you feel weird in a bright colored t-shirt. I don't know. I do feel like I get a little wild if I throw on a tie-dye or something. I'm like, whoa, look at this. We're getting crazy today. We got the tie-dye going on. Look at the color. White t-shirts, I just can't stand it. I don't know if it's the bright, just white out of the corner of my eye. I got to see why people say some people wear black often. Because I know my answer to it, but we'll get to that in a minute. All right, it's inoffensive, slimming. Well, inoffensive, it depends what t-shirts you're wearing, okay? Now, I don't have many offensive t-shirts anymore. Like a good dad, I gave them to my children so that they can irritate people in Phoenix and in Bellingham, Washington. Sometimes you got to do the right thing and pass those things on. I'm a little too old, I think, to be walking around in some of the t-shirts I used to wear that I just wore because they were so crazy offensive and would make people mad. It was fun. It was fun. You'd see people just kind of glaring at you and be like, yeah, cool shirt, huh? I know, you can read it from all the way over there. Okay, it's inoffensive slimming professional. Well, maybe not the black clothes I wear. Doesn't show stains as easily and goes with pretty much anything. Okay, that's a very practical approach to why somebody would wear black all the time. A lot of people apparently got some sweat problems. Black shirts don't show pit sweat. Maybe that would be a problem for me if I wasn't so lazy, you know? Not about to go for a jog this morning. Too tired for that. If you wake up at the time of day I do and you're out jogging, I don't know. I saw a pack of kids just running down the road this morning, on my way to work. I'm like, what are you kids doing? They looked like they were late teens, something like that. Guys, let's go have some fun. I know what we should do. We should wake up at 5 a.m. and let's go jogging. People are very different than me. All right, if you have a problem with pit sweat, I guess black shirt might be up your alley. It goes with almost anything, so it can make building outfits a lot easier. Okay, here's how I build an outfit. All right, it's hot out. Shorts. Now for the shirt, one of 10 million black t-shirts. If you ever saw the inside of my closet, it's just this wall of black with a few, like I said, tie-dye sprinkled in. Probably some white t-shirts that I hung on to for I don't even know what reason. I don't know if I have any white t-shirts. Not anymore. See, black goes with everything. You don't have to sort your clothes when doing... No, I guess. If all of your socks are the same, it's slimming. Now, where's the answer that I would give? I haven't seen anybody say this. So black's totally metal, That's why it's cool. Look at me. Look how metal I actually... I'm currently wearing a black t-shirt with a cat playing guitar on it. I'm still metal, all right? If you don't believe me, you can watch my Pantera karaoke video. I still got it in me, okay? I can still work my way to the front of a crowd. Sometimes people, get a little upset, but I can still do it. Okay, I can hold my own in a pit, sort of. I might get knocked down and I might hurt myself, but I've still recently gotten into a mosh pit. I probably shouldn't at my age, but it was at a poppy show. I couldn't help myself. I was having a lot of fun. Nobody in here in this thread has said anything about black being like just, totally metal, and that's why you should wear it all the time. Yeah, I don't know. I just like it. Maybe one of these days I'll throw off everyone at work and show up in a white t-shirt. I'll be uncomfortable, but, it's fun. All right, this guy's a moron. I mean, as is typical of this feature, a lot of morons on Freak News. Anyway, let's dive in. This guy, he's a felon, and he wanted to buy a gun. Now, if you're a felon, you can't buy a gun. Sorry, you lost that right. So, I don't know if he started feeling bad about it, but he turned himself in, sent in a report. Hey, I'm aware of a felon who tried to purchase a firearm. It was me. So then they went to track him down, managed to find him out driving, and he was, of course, hammered at the same time. There's just some stories that make you feel a little bit better about yourself, right? Sometimes I feel like a mess. Not doing too bad. Not out engaging in crime and then turning myself in for it. I mean, it's good that he felt a little bit guilty, He did the right thing. Give him a nice pat on the back. Okay, Twix ad banned for encouraging unsafe driving. What do we got going on here? We got a guy with flowing hair, according to the article. Oh, good for you, buddy. I used to have flowing hair. Okay, sorry. I don't mind the shaved head. Every once in a while, I'll see, somebody who's got some nice hair, and I'm like, man, I miss my long hair. But it never looked as good as that anyway, so screw it. I should have shaved it a long time ago. Okay, so they have 5 complaints about this advertisement. Shows a guy involved in a car chase and crash that results in his and an identical caramel-colored car sandwiched on top of each other. Okay, so basically they make a Twix bar out of a car accident, and they say it condones unsafe driving. Now, he is eating behind the wheel, which, as we know, that's distracted driving. And if you mow into somebody, and even, if you make a Twix sandwich out of your vehicles, somebody calling my homies at the Advocates Injury Attorneys. All right. Twix sounds kind of good. I don't know. I have, this pie that's been sitting at my house since my birthday. And it's one of my favorite kind of pies. It's a Perkins peanut butter, silk pie. I don't know what my problem is, but I just have no appetite. What's going on here? We got a bag full of Japanese candy here in the studio. It does not sound appealing at all. I'm not complaining, because I do need to slim it down a bit. But anyway, Twix does sound kind of good. All right, what else do we have here? It's kind of a rough day for freak news. All right, in a report from a protest in Los Angeles, CNN letting everybody know we can smell weed in the air. Okay, yep. Have you ever been to Los Angeles? Have you ever been to any big city where pot is legal? It doesn't matter if there was a protest. This is not news, okay? I've been to LA. You're going to smell some weed. You go to New York City, where, all the streets are kind of confined by these giant skyscrapers. That stench just gets kind of trapped in there like an inversion. Why was that worth writing an article about? Note, you ever been to Portland, downtown? I couldn't believe it. Okay, what else do we have here? Oh, a man stabbed another man with a machete. No, we've got some, good criminals in the news today. We had the guy who turned himself in for trying to buy a gun when he was a felon. Now, this guy, he stabbed another man with a machete, but then he drove him to the hospital. So how much does that even things out? Okay, bro, you were injured. I took you in. Yeah, but dude, you stabbed me with the machete. Yeah, but I saved your life. This was apparently outside of a Circle K in Florida. Some kind of verbal altercation at about 5 p.m. And, he ended up being okay. The one guy, the machete guy, obviously in jail. There was another article I saw recently where machetes were banned somewhere. I just wonder who's packing a machete everywhere they go. Maybe if you live in Florida, you kind of need to. But it's and I know this can make people mad around here, but, packing a machete around town, it's like the guys I see that are open carrying, got the, and I like, the Wild West, how much I enjoy Red Dead Redemption. All right, so playing cowboy is fun, but I don't know, if you were in a situation where, say, somebody walked into a business and they're eyeing the situation, they're going to rob the place or something, who is the first person they're going to go for? The person with the open carry pistol. I mean, if you really feel like you need to pack a gun with you everywhere you go, if you live in Idaho, you don't even have to have a permit to conceal it. It seems like it would be way more effective to, get a holster and hide it. So, the threat doesn't know that you might be able to take them out. Just saying. But machete, that's just weird. I don't know. That's a gigantic knife. I mean, as far as knives go, the machete's pretty fun. basically a sword. I just don't know why you'd need to pack it with you wherever you go. Okay, let's do... Oh, it's already 8:05? How did that happen? Okay, I'll save this disgusting story about this woman who had a drug problem for the next break, okay? You know, it'll be a little bit of a PSA that you're probably not going to want, but that's how this program works. Sometimes the content's not for everybody. It's not that bad. It's not like I'm actually going to show you the video, because I can't. This is radio, and I'm not currently streaming live online. And even then, I don't think the bosses would want me to. So we'll get into that in a minute. I'm pretty sure that's the most romantic song of all time. So, and I hope it brightened up your day. All right, let's dive into this story. You know, if you're suffering from addiction problems, there is help out there, okay? If you're dealing with substance abuse issues, make the call, get some help. You don't want to end up like this woman. But she's doing her best to try to get the word out and, you know, help prevent things like what happened to her. Mom wants everyone to see horrific video of her setting herself on fire after drugs binge. Okay, well, she might want everyone to see it, but it doesn't mean that everybody else wants to. Okay, I mean, just ask yourself that question. You know, it's about 8:13 a.m. Do I want to watch someone light themselves on fire right now? My answer personally was no. So even if this news article links said video, I don't think I'm going to watch it because, you know, it just seems kind of unpleasant at this hour. That's more of an afternoon kind of news story, right? All right, so... this story's a mess, all right? You know, it goes through, you know, the years of her addiction problems, starting when she was a teenager, you know, and she started off drinking. You know, then the drinking gets worse as she gets older. Next thing you know, she's binging crack and heroin. And apparently, she ended up in such a state that she set herself on fire while laying in bed during an argument with an ex-boyfriend who sat there with his friends laughing at her because they thought it was funny. Okay, for one, if your friends are laughing at you, you know, during any bad stretch of an addiction problem, those friends are probably pretty lousy. Kick them to the curb. Get some people who are supportive in your life, all right? You know, if you're having a bad day and your friends are laughing at you, they're dirtbags. So anyway, she has video footage of it. I'm assuming the friends filmed it because, again, they said they thought it was funny, and she wants everyone to watch this video. Now, I would imagine it could have a preventative, you know, angle to it. You generally see somebody light themselves on fire while laying in bed. You're going to go, why did this happen? And then, you know, maybe ponder a bit. Okay, maybe I'll avoid the crack binge in bed. Don't do crack, people. Crack kills, all right? So, where is she going to put this video where everyone can watch it? As far as I know, that would violate the terms of service of most social platforms that allow video content. I don't think you can show people being lit on fire on Facebook or, you know, YouTube. So she's going to have to find a specialty website to get this out to. But maybe we need to just incorporate this into a new anti-drug campaign. I've talked about how, you know, they should bring back those just insane anti-meth billboards that used to be up all over town. Those had to be effective. When you see people's skin falling off while you're driving down the road, you know, giant HD, you know, pictures of people, you know, curled up in the corner of a dirty bathroom, like all, you know, bruised and bloody. It makes you think a little bit. It's going to get your attention. You know, there are digital billboards all over the place now. They can just put this video on loop. Don't do crack. Don't do heroin. I mean, you could slap any drug on it, and if you show someone accidentally, you know, lighting themselves on fire while laying in bed, I think it'll get people's attention, just looping like that. So maybe this will end up being a good thing and she's doing some good in the end. But I will let you know she's doing good now, okay? She went through her treatment, both drug treatment and, obviously a burn treatment. But she's doing good. Now I think she's working as an advocate to help get people off of substances. Because, you don't want to end up one day, finally, you're in bed and that, those blankets, I would imagine they can go up pretty quick depending on what they're made out of. So just, get yourself some help dealing with drug problem. Or if you really need motivation, you could probably Google and find the video. I'm not going to share it on our Facebook page, okay? Jade gets iffy on the content. So does Facebook. People burning. I would imagine I'd get at least one complaint, all right? But hey, city of Idaho Falls or, maybe the state of Idaho, you're looking for a good new billboard campaign? You'll get complaints, but might work. All right. If you brought some of your own stuff to work, why would you even question if you'd be a jerk for taking it with you when you leave, right? Some guy was asking about his coffee maker online. Hey, I work at this place. I've been there, like 5 years, and I brought this coffee maker in, and, I'm getting a new job. Am I going to be a total jerk if I take it with me when I leave? No, it's your stuff, dude. And this is a long post. All right? I don't care how well you get along with people where you work. Tell the boss, get a new coffee maker. Jeez. It's just a coffee maker. And, is it like, your run-of-the-mill Walmart coffee maker, fairly cheap? Or is it, high class? You got the espresso options and blah, 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 blah. I've thought about this before because I have a lot of crap here at work. I've taken some home from time to time. But even so, looking around the studio, for example, I've got a lot of different lights in here, posters, decorations, signed posters that I got signed. I did it. They're mine. But when you get fired in radio, they tend to just kind of escort you out, and then they'll have somebody, gather up your crap and maybe have you come get it. Do you know how long it would take to gather up my stuff around here? And I know that some of the stuff I think is mine, other people would be like, no, it isn't. Like, okay, my awards, let me pat myself on my back for all of my many, many awards. I'm sure they'd keep them. They'd be like, nah, that's company property, even though it literally has my name on it. No, we want to keep those so that our shelves look impressive in the conference room. You just got to sneak them out of here a little bit at a time, but I do like to keep them on display here so that I look cool. All of those best morning show awards. Speaking of which, is that going on right now? I haven't heard anything from Jade about this. The Idaho State Broadcasting Association Awards. Now, these are awards that, unfortunately, you listeners, my homies, can't help out with. We just get, judgment passed on us by other radio people. The awards program is open. Entries open. Oh, geez, are we too late to get them in? Hold on. This is important to me because I haven't won any awards in a while, and I need to add to my pile. How long do we got? Let's see here. Oh, they have a new process, blah, blah, blah. Just tell me the dates, fools. Okay, let's see here. Get your crap in. They don't even say. Well, I'll talk to Jade about this later. Anyway, Peaches, your assignment is, when my day finally comes and Jade's had enough of my crap, sends me packing, you got to gather up all my stuff because I got a lot of cool stuff hanging around here. You really shouldn't make your workplace like a second home because you're going to lose some stuff. Anyway, dude, just take your coffee maker, bro. It's not that big a deal. It's just a coffee maker. All right, back in a minute. Gonna crack an energy drink to get ready for my mind-numbing training with Jade. Ugh. And when I, get a little caffeinated sometimes, get a little wound up. Peaches, I don't know if you want to be in here on this break.
Why?
Because I'm going to get a little bit political up in here.
Okay.
Earlier to start my show, I talked about, a hobby that I've had over time, and that's trolling people online.
Yeah.
Started way back in the day with Jade's band's message board. This is pre-MySpace. This is before social media. His band had a message board. I'd go in there and talk about how bad his band sucked and make his fans mad. And it was fun. So every once in a while, I like to just get in arguments with people online. So last night I was bored, and I've made it pretty clear that there are a lot of policies that Idaho legislators have been putting in place that I think are stupid. And that, nobody asked for these. They're a waste of time. There was a post made about this whole thing with SNAP benefits and candy and soda. Are you familiar with SNAP benefits?
Snapchat.
Okay, no. The SNAP benefits, essentially the modern version of like food stamps.
Gotcha.
So what they're doing to try to make people healthy is not allow people to use their food stamp card to buy specifically candy and soda at the grocery store. This is the most useless and stupid law I've ever seen, and in my personal opinion, they're only doing it to shame and punish poor people. Now, I have been poor in my life. Like, I've lived on ramen, okay?
Now you're the rich guy.
I'm so rich! I'm rich! You want to see my bank account? It's not looking very good right now.
A lot of zeros in there.
Looking forward to payday here in a little over a week.
Right.
But anyway, I've been poor before, and I have been on food stamps before, okay? So I know how the system works, okay? Most people on food stamps are working and paying taxes, okay? So they're putting money into the fund to begin with. But, when you're poor, life sucks. It's stressful. You're worried about having a roof over your head. So, if you're trying to take care of your family, you're working multiple jobs, every once in a while, like if you want to get your kid a treat, hey, you want a Snickers? Doesn't seem like that big a deal to me. Now, my main problem with this is they're claiming to do it to help make people healthy. Now, Peaches, you've been to the grocery store. We can walk through Winco in our minds.
I was just there this morning.
All right, so you know the layout. Right when you walk in, you can immediately find items that are just as bad for you as candy or soda. You know what you could do with your SNAP card if you wanted? You could load up a shopping cart packed to the brim with ice cream and cake, and that's fine. Just don't touch a Reese's. This is so stupid and aggravating.
Well, now it's going to encourage people who do have those SNAP, whatever that thing is. They're just going to take it. Like I would.
You would shoplift. Okay. I don't think that people are going to turn to crime for a candy bar.
Who knows? Maybe they'll treat it like a movie theater. All of a sudden, there's a big lump in their sleeve.
It just made me so mad. Like, who are you to judge what people are eating? And there's these studies that are like, oh, well, people on food stamps, they spend this percentage on soda. Okay. You were at my birthday celebration. Okay. I bought a 12-pack of Diet Coke. You know how much a 12-pack of name brand soda costs nowadays?
It's like $7.
$7 is like the cheapest you're going to find it.
Yeah.
So imagine you have $100 in groceries and you bought, say, 2 12-packs of soda, which is not very much soda. It's 2 12-packs. So you got $15. That's 15%, okay? If you just say out loud, somebody spent 15% of their SNAP benefits on soda, it sounds like a lot. But it's just too measly. It's an expensive item, okay? So they use these stats to, rile people up into thinking, oh, all this money's getting wasted. But still, walk through the grocery store. Okay, children's cereal. You know what that is? It's basically candy. If you're mowing down Captain Crunch, it's just all sugar.
And cereal is quite expensive too. The family size box even, it's like $6 now,
Yeah,
$7.
Yeah. But a lot of those are just straight sugar. And again, you can buy all the cookies you want. You can buy all the granola bars. Granola bars are candy bars. Chocolate-covered granola bars are just candy bars.
I would say the whole state of the food, all the food here, kind of,
like you go
full of sugar.
Exactly. Bags of chips.
Horrible for you.
I don't think anyone would consider that healthy. What if you want to buy nothing but cheese and ground beef, and all you eat is cheeseburgers all day, every day? Perfectly healthy, Peach. It's just such a hypocritical and stupid law, and it's costing millions, I think millions of dollars from what I read a month or two ago to implement this, because now grocery stores have to redo all of their systems and everything and put all these restrictions in place on a handful of items.
Imagine you're at self-checkout at Winco and you get rejected for buying a Snickers.
Excuse me, sir. You can't have that.
That poor Winco worker is going to get screamed at just for enforcing that policy.
No, I don't think they'll get screamed at. I think the people in line will just feel bad. And, having been on food stamps before, it's like when I was on free lunch in school when I was a kid. They gave you a different colored ticket. We had little lunch tickets. And so you had the different colored ticket. They start shaming the less fortunate as early as they can. And you always felt awkward
I remember,
having the different colored ticket to get your lunch.
I remember in elementary school, if you got the free lunch, it was like a cheese sandwich, and it was the worst thing you could get.
Man,
everyone
really
else had
sucks.
pizza and stuff, but you had the cheese. Literally 2 pieces of bread with a Kraft single in between. And
I thought in California they just gave everybody everything for free. That's what I read on social media.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a socialist wasteland.
Oh yeah.
So it just, as a person who was poor for most of my life, and I'm not rich. Don't call me rich guy, Peaches. But as someone who was poor most of my life, I've been through all these different stages where I felt shamed for being poor. So that particular new piece of legislation that nobody asked for and clearly is not actually about making people healthy. It just made me crazy last night. So I, of course, started, arguing with people on Facebook about it. And these judgmental people that are, one woman was saying, why don't you just make your kids Kool-Aid and cupcakes? What's the difference? Kool-Aid is non-carbonated soda. Have you ever made Kool-Aid?
Kool-Aid is the most sugary drink you could drink.
Exactly.
It's worse than most sodas.
Yeah, it's straight sugar and flavor. You get a big cup, and I looked it up online. I'm like, okay, what's healthier or which is worse for you, ice cream or candy? And there's all these studies that are like, well, ice cream has blah, 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 dairy in it and things like that. Maybe you get a little calcium out of it. But they base the studies on a half cup of ice cream.
Yeah, the serving sizes are a complete joke.
Who eats a half cup of ice cream? Give me that is a useless, when I worked at McDonald's, we would have these little kiddie cones we could make.
Right.
And, they're about this tall. They were, triangular. And you'd fill them up and then have the ice cream stick out the top. I bet that was pretty close to a half cup. The kiddie cone that we sold for 10 cents or something at the time. It was a long time ago. But, somebody want to talk about it? You want to talk? I'll talk. It just makes me mad, dude, as someone who's been in these shoes. K-Bear, you're live on the show. Keep that in mind. Who's this?
This is Caveman. How's it going?
Caveman. Doing pretty good. What's up?
Oh, just wondering if you'll play some Raining Blood.
Sure. It's off topic and probably good that it is. But yeah, I'll play some Slayer.
Let's play I Want Candy.
Ice cream, sugar, all that sugar is poison to the human body. And if you guys eat it, you're poisoning yourselves.
Well, ice cream is perfectly okay according to the state government. Just don't touch a Coke.
Yeah, I
don't have a Coca-Cola. How dare you
have a Coca-Cola that eats battery acid?
Okay, don't have a Sprite. How dare you have a root beer? What you need to do is go pick yourself up some of that Yoplait yogurt that's also just sugar.
Just a flat-out sugar. You know what you do is you go up into the mountains, you pick you some mullein, you make you a mullein tea. Put some honey in it, which is 100% natural and good for you, and you'll live a lot longer.
Boy, that's a lot of effort. I think I'll just get myself, actually, Snapple Probably, packed with sugar, packed to the brim. It's delicious.
It is. Everything that they put on the shelves is poison to us.
Maybe I can just go to Yellowstone and start spear hunting the bison.
Peaches, I don't know. You're about as big as a bison, so it'd be
that's
a
right.
rough
Bring
fight,
it on.
But
hey, go get you Matthew's bow from Pocatello Archery and go slay one.
Peaches, you should take up bow hunting.
Oh, dude, it's sweet, man. It's adrenaline.
I'm just gonna go with the giant wood stick with the pointy end and start running after a bison.
Hey, there's check out the Slock Master on YouTube. The guy is bad.
The Slock Master. All right.
Yes, sir.
I'll look into it for sure, man.
You think you know anybody that's really cool? No, you don't know anybody that's cool until you see that guy.
But I see myself in the mirror every day.
I don't know. I feel like if I were to go to a party and I meet some guy and he calls himself the Slock Master,
I'd wonder what his hobbies are. That's for sure. What does that mean?
Killing bears, killing animals with a spear. That's slocking.
That's slocking, huh? Okay. Well, yeah, I think I'll just, hit the ground bison section at Winco while I'm picking up my ice cream.
Right.
Well, good to hear from you, man. I hope you have a good day.
Hey, you as well. Yeah. Throw that Slayer on and that'll be a great day.
Hey, you got it, man. Peace.
Hey, later.
So yeah, anybody out there, if you're now no longer allowed to get your kids a treat, and they love Snickers, there are Snickers ice cream bars that are perfectly acceptable under these same regulations.
There are Snickers protein bars as well, which are the exact same thing as a regular Snickers.
I wonder if that counts. Yeah, what's a protein bar? Yeah.
Full of
Is
sugar.
that a candy bar? It's sure packed with sugar.
A lot of them are glorified candy bars.
Well, totally. That's why the whole thing is so stupid and hypocritical. And I just want to point these things out with, next year we have elections. So just remember all of these stupid, pointless things that they're wasting our taxpayer dollar on that literally don't do any good. And the meaning behind it is just, I had a word for it that's inappropriate for the radio, Peaches.
That's twice now you've been almost trying to cuss on the air.
I know. Stop picking on poor people, okay? It's rough. I guarantee all the people who are putting these laws in place, born with a silver spoon, they ain't never been poor. They don't know what it's like, So stop it.
Do better.
Do better. That's my polite way of putting it. It made me so mad.
Stop it.
Stop that. It's not nice. Go Jira on the Viktor Wilt program. How you doing? Thanks for putting up with a little bit of my ranting and raving. Got it out of my system, okay? All right. Let's dive into this list of things that people think are real but are completely fictional. This could be interesting. Because I know every once in a while I might stumble across something and I'm like, what? That's not real? It's always good to know, things you may have been misinformed about. All right. I mean, nobody believes this. That an undercover cop has to tell you a cop if you ask. I'm going to have to ask Lieutenant Crane about that tomorrow on Traffic School, powered by the Advocates. Because I know he worked as an undercover cop at one point. Like, how many times did you have people ask, are you a cop? And then they say no, and they're like, all right. Because, they have to tell you. How would it possibly work to be an undercover cop if that's all it took to foil everything? Come on. I mean, you see that in movies back in the day, but I don't think anybody really believes that. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? Sherlock Holmes. I went to the Sherlock Holmes Museum a while ago, and I'd say about 80% of the tourists in there were under the impression he was a real person. Well, in that situation, you can't blame them. They have a museum. I mean, I guess there are museums for all kinds of crazy things. Like I want to go to Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum. Well, that's like that gray line where, who knows, maybe that chair is haunted. I don't know, but I mean, I knew Sherlock Holmes was just a character in a story, but if you have a full museum dedicated to Sherlock Holmes, that could be confusing for people. Okay. We've talked about this on Traffic School. Sovereign citizen stuff. Like, all you got to do is be like, sorry, I will not show you my ID, officer. I don't have to have a driver's license. I don't need to have plates on my car. I don't need to pay my taxes. I'm a sovereign citizen. Yeah, you're going to go to jail. Okay? That's how that ends. Every single time. But there are YouTube videos and pages where people, they throw this stuff out there and people will buy into it. Yeah, you can't just do whatever you want. Sorry. There are laws and rules and regulations and, even if they're stupid, you got to obey them. I'm not saying the driver's license, just getting back to some of the new laws that have been being implemented. You can't use the sovereign citizen defense because you want to keep your truck nuts on your pickup. I'm sorry. Your truck nuts are just too vile for the community. You got to get rid of them immediately. I cannot wait to see people start getting pulled over for that. And, just the posts that'll start popping up in the Life in Idaho Falls Facebook group. I can't believe this. Well, you voted for these people, okay? All right, what else do we have here? That you need to wait 24 hours before you're allowed to report someone is missing. If someone's missing, report that immediately, okay? Don't wait. You need to get the authorities working on these things immediately, okay? If someone's missing, like your kid wanders off, call that in immediately. Don't wait. Sorry, I got to wait till tomorrow. I hope people don't believe that anymore. All right, what else do we have in here? I haven't learned anything new yet myself. Eating carrots improves eyesight. Now, carrots, I would assume, have some good vitamins in them and stuff, but I do remember hearing that. I do remember hearing that carrots improve eyesight, but I just assume, actually, I think you need surgery or glasses to improve eyesight. I don't think eating any kind of food, that's just kind of common sense. Otherwise, everybody would have perfect eyesight. They'd just eat carrots all day and be like, yeah, here we go, I'm fixed. The glasses industry, destroyed by carrots. All right. What else do we have here? That you only use 10% of your brain. We use it all. This person, I think we only use 10% of our hearts. Okay, I seem to have skipped over one because there was one I wanted to say something about. Where did it go? I don't know. Let's just keep going here. Still trying to learn something new. Now, really? Okay, this one I'm iffy on, bringing up, but this one is kind of surprising. I assumed... Hold on, I'm going to Google this before I talk about it. Okay, interesting. All right, they were talking about the Holy Grail. The dish, plate, or cup that was used during the Last Supper. I guess they never even mentioned that in the Bible. What? I guess it is a medieval European legend that came along after. That's weird. I thought for sure that was mentioned in the Bible. Huh. Okay. Well, I guess I did learn something new. That's weird. All right. I just remembered a funny one that I was taught in elementary school. You remember the DARE program, right? They come in, and it I don't know how it works anymore, but it was weird even when I was in school because they bring in this giant case that's packed to the brim with all these drugs, and they show them to kids, and they're like, look at this. This is what it does to you, blah, blah, blah. But I remember being told in school that, smoking pot will make guys grow breasts, which that might get you in trouble with that truck nuts law nowadays, too. But, I don't think that was true either. Look at the pictures of just bring up pictures of hippies from Woodstock, all right? I don't see a lot of, skinny dudes, packing a rack, okay? It should be common sense as well. All right, what else do we have here for things that are completely fictional but are not. Okay, they mentioned the moon landing. Not very many people think the moon landing was faked. You can't say that lots of people believe that. There are some, but there's people that believe the world's flat. So, let's see, gum stays in your stomach for 7 years. That's like, if you eat a watermelon seed, watermelon is going to burst right out of you. Wouldn't that be amazing if you did eat seeds and the plants grew inside you and just burst through your stomach? Be kind of wild, It's a decent concept for a YouTube short or something if you want to make something really gross. All right. The AI pictures that our boomer parents like to share on Facebook. Yeah, by the way, those aren't real. Okay. Again, Jelly Roll did not open a $20 million dog paradise. Okay. Nor did Eminem. All right. Elon Musk did not run into a burning building and save 20 babies. Okay. Just because you see a semi-realistic looking photo, you got to look these things up. All right, let's see here. I'm not going to get into astrology. We talked about chemtrails recently because, funny enough, talking about states implementing stupid laws. I think it was Louisiana banned chemtrails. I guess just, get rid of airports. You can no longer fly in or out of Louisiana. What are people in that state going to do when they still see the condensation trails in the sky? Are they going to lose their minds? They're not going to go away. You can't ban them. It's a natural occurrence. All right. Now we're starting to get down into stuff that people might call and yell at me about if I get into. So, we'll skip on that. But maybe you learned something new today. I learned one new thing. And if I can learn one new thing a day, that ain't too bad. Okay, you may have recently heard me complain about driving down Woodruff in Idaho Falls, or just pretty much driving around anywhere in Idaho Falls right now, because apparently every single road in town is under construction. It looks like it might be getting worse on Woodruff right now, because somebody posted in the Life in Idaho Falls group a video of themselves at the stoplight at First and Woodruff. I know this intersection well because I drive through it every day. A dump truck comes barreling through the intersection. Okay, I shouldn't say barreling through. They're just driving through. But they have the back of the dump truck lifted up all the way. And as they go through the intersection, just smashes into the stoplights. So, I have a feeling that the intersection of First and Woodruff is one to avoid right now. Just wanted to give everybody the heads up, as if that area could not get to be more aggravating, because First is all tore up too. I tried to find alternate routes to get home yesterday, and there's just no winning if you need to get into that area of town.
I want everybody to get off Holmes around 5 p.m. Clear the way for the Peaches from K-Bear. Okay, thank you. And then also, can all funeral processions please stop on Sunnyside? I'm so sick and tired of these hearses driving with a 20-car brigade.
At 5 p.m.?
No, on Sunnyside during my lunch break yesterday.
Oh, lunch break, okay.
There was I'm at the light's green, and then this angry cop on a motorcycle, which, by the way, nobody looks tough on those motorcycles.
Oh, Pete, you better settle down.
No, but I'm just saying, they're like a big, they're not the tough looking motorcycles. They look kind of like glorified mopeds. and this cop was just giving me the glare, like, you better not go through this intersection.
I mean, I'm sure
and
the cops.
Sure enough,
I'm sure they'd prefer drive Harleys,
Yeah, I'm sure.
But, for whatever reason, maybe that makes too much racket or something. They can't sneak up on people with their sneaky ways.
A cop trying to chase you in a Harley with his hands way up high in the air.
Chopper?
The chopper.
Yeah. No, I think, they like to be sneaky, them cops. I deal with one every Friday morning at 8:45.
But then why make it obvious, like, hey, I'm a cop on a motorcycle?
Dude, they could come up on you quick. Back when I was a kid, we had bicycle police all over Pocatello.
Pedaling to your criminal?
Yeah.
That's it. I'm pulling this guy over.
That's right. They'd be rolling up there. Kids would go outside. I hate to break it to people, another part of reality, but sometimes kids will smoke. It's, when they're not old enough to. And so the bike cops would roll into those areas at school, and just be bam, 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 bam.
Well, apparently
all busted.
The company Juul is paying millions of dollars to install those anti-vape detectors in schools and bathrooms.
A vape detector?
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess kids are now, those kids these days, they're vaping.
I know. Back in the day, Peaches, kids didn't ever do anything wrong.
They did crack.
Now, wait, settle down. So anyway, everybody, you might want to, as of right now, because that video was posted like 2 minutes ago, avoid the intersection of First and Woodruff, because...
That poor driver, I got to say, I would be embarrassed.
Well, this is the day and age we're in. Somebody's always filming. This is clearly a dash cam. You know that if Carolina Roslin sees this video, she's going to be so mad that it wasn't her video.
Shout out Carolina, too.
All right. Back to a little bit of music here. Sure, that's fine. Thank you again for tuning in to the Viktor Welch Show. This program is a production of Riverbend Media Group. To contact the show or for more information, hit us up at riverbendmediagroup.com.